I don't. It may have been a little bit later, but I think Brother Sharif had the Slum Oasis restaurant, and I used to go there and eat all the time. And I met Brother Bilal Muhammad, and he told me that I didn't know that there was a transition. He just told me that Elijah Muhammad was teaching, or his son was teaching, and that's why I wanted to go and see who he was talking about. And I immediately converted. When I heard Imam Muhammad speak, I just started crying. I literally just started crying. I remember when the brother mentioned the circumcision of the mind, and I had never in my life, and this is an emotional issue for me because I still think about how much I changed after becoming a Muslim. And I was a business person during that time. I had a real estate office. I was involved in business. I had everything was going really good. I was an engineer, graduated from college and working as an engineer, and quit that and went into my own business. But when I heard Imam Muhammad speak that day, I went home and told my wife that our whole life had to change. And we moved everything out of the house that was in there that I felt was not healthy for us. And I remember for about 2 or 3 weeks, she would bring me the Quran on a plate on the table just as a joke to me and say, "This is what you're going to eat because that's all you seem to be concerned about." So I told her that's all I really need. That's a great meal you're giving me. And that would make her upset, because I don't need anything else. But this community, and I think for all of us really that are here, has been a source of life that none of us could have imagined. And my family, when my brothers told my mom what had happened to me, she said, anything that can make that boy act better is all right with me. And my family, many of them today, none of them converted in my immediate family, but they would always say that if I ever got serious about religion, I think I'd have to choose whatever Rashid got. Because they felt that if something could convert you and change you and make you get away from the life that you lived and started appreciating and having great value in people and what's going on around you and in your community, and then wanting to always stay away from things that, you feel was corruptive, and you could get a spiritual experience from this whole process. I remember when I first became Muslim and I studied, I can't begin to explain. I used to tell my friends, I said, I used to get high. I wasn't no drug addict or anything, so I don't know how to take that. But I used to, you have your marijuana and your alcohol and other things. But I said, I don't ever have to have that again in my life. I never thought I would find anything to replace the feeling that I got from just socializing and enjoying yourself and getting sort of out of your mind where you're not clear in the head. But I'm telling you, when I would listen to Imam Muhammad speak, and I think one of his speeches where he was talking about himself going from that hot and cold position, and he was being gone, and he said Allah was creating a new man on the earth. I mean, that used to bring some fire into my body and my whole mind when I think about that now. And it's really, I believe that if we keep the desire in us that was instilled in many of us that experienced that back then, that we'll put that vicariously into the atmosphere and in the environment. I think it's nothing more powerful than that message being kept alive. I have a little section that I have now that I always felt when my children grew up, this would be their inheritance. These was all Imam Muhammad's lectures, the centerfold in the Muslim Journal now with World Community of Al-Islam in the West. So I gave those possessions that I felt were most valuable to me to one of my children, thinking that they were the most suited caretaker. And I remember I went by her house one day, and she had them sitting on the floor with a bunch of other stuff, and I didn't see it as junk, to be thrown away. I thought she was going to throw it away. And so I took it and I told her, I said, well, I don't know where I'm going to find the child that I can leave this with, but I'm still searching. And people ask me now, why did you have a baby at your age? I have a 7-year-old now. And I remember one time Imam said that we have to be careful how we treat people who may dislike us. He was talking about a Caucasian man and an African American driving up beside him in a Cadillac, and the Caucasian was sitting there looking over, and the African American was just relaxing and enjoying himself. And he said, "You're just putting in that Caucasian the seed for developing a generation that won't let you have that in the future." He mentioned that. He said, "Don't you know you can have that desire in you, and you can produce generations to carry that desire. You can have that in you so strong that you can put it into the environment that you're engaging in for biological production to produce the actual psychological results that you're looking to have. That can be done." So my experience with this religion, and as I was listening to Brother Vincent, I remember when he first came down with the bean pie. I mean, I couldn't hardly run my restaurant without trying to force people to have the experience with the bean pie. Brother Vincent used to bring the bean pie and the bean cake and the carrot cake. And we would force these things upon the people in order to give them that experience. Later on, when I went to Hajj and came back from Hajj, I was really, that experience itself was another awakening for me. When I went to Hajj and experienced Hajj and then came back to Houston, at that time, that's when Imam Akbar was the Imam, and they had asked me to act as his assistant. And of course, during the process of this transition, he asked me if I would become the Imam. So I was asked to carry out that role of Imam. I never felt strong about that role as an individual, as an Imam. I served in that capacity as an Imam primarily because it was a need there. And as soon as I was more involved in my business, had about 4 or 5 different businesses. It was a very busy activity. And as soon as I saw someone who I felt was capable of taking on that responsibility, I immediately turned in my resignation. I think I stayed in that capacity maybe 1.5 years, 2 years. Maybe longer, I can't quite remember. But I remember when Imam Talib was riding his bike here and he was carrying out whatever responsibility he could carry out. He was cleaning and doing a lot of things around the masjid, and of course he was always one of those individuals that was very dedicated to the community. And I'd like to say many of us, you would think that we were not friends sometimes the way we fought with each other on issues. And, Imam Kamaluddin, like the brother was saying, probably he had the greatest influence in my life as a local individual Imam than anyone I can recall. I feel like he was here to make me really appreciate this religion more. He used to tell me things and say things to me. He would tell me sometime that that I had to prove myself. And so one time he put me on restricted membership, and I would come back and I would pay my zakat. I would come back on Friday and I would make my contributions, and then I would leave. And him and I would talk often. And one day he told me, he said, "Brother, you're working on it, right?" Because, sometimes I believe Allah put people in your life that really, really make you more serious about what you claim you believe in. And so when I became the Imam here, Imam Talib was riding a bike. I didn't ever know why he was. I found out later on why he was riding a bike. But anyway, so I told the community that I was going to resign and I was going to become Imam Talib's assistant. And I was going to ask them if they would accept him as the imam, and I would be his assistant. Not the assistant in the sense that I was going to be here all the time, but I would be available to assist him in whatever way he needed me to assist him, to help him. That I felt that at the time we was paying maybe $1,500 to Imam Akbar, $2,000 a month for Imam Akbar's maintenance. That Imam Talib, I didn't need the maintenance. Of course, I had my business. And it seemed like when you say you don't need something, we really accommodate you and make sure it's not there. So I said, well, Imam Talib need to be earning an income, and I don't need one. We need an imam that really want to be here all the time. So and they accepted it. And I believe that was the best decision we'd ever made in our community in terms of choosing someone to carry out a responsibility. And I'm saying that just to say we have to work. You have to do the work that is necessary to help move the community forward. And that was my whole objective. That was my whole goal, is to not just occupy a position, but to be in a position where others can benefit from your effort. And I was doing a pretty good job with my business, and Imam Talib was working all the time at the masjid. I said, we just changed roles. You know, that way you get paid to be here, and I come and make my contribution like everybody else does. So we have all really been a great complement to each other in what we've accomplished here in this community. And just sort of fast forward, you know, you've got other imams that have come along and that have been a tremendous asset. I remember when Imam Kazim became imam here, I was amazed at the amount of production he was getting, primarily because of his being prepared for the role of imam and very equipped, capable. And we've grown and grown, and now we've come to a point where I believe we probably have to leave here and go visit other communities and see that we're matching the immigrant community. In a small way, when I say a small way, because we need more imams like the qualified imams you see, and Imam Daniel Kareem, Imam Wazi Ali Kazim Ahmed, and other imams that are here that are able to go to the immigrant Muslims and give the Jummah, Eid, and other services, and be able to handle themselves in a way that we can gain the international respect. And I know I feel so blessed to be a part of this community. During this past Ramadan, I spent the Ramadan in Morocco. I took some pictures with a few imams there. And after they found out I was from America, they wanted to sit with me. And I realized what the imam had told us, that we need to be prepared. I wasn't prepared. However, their excitement about the fact that you are an American convert to Islam can lift you up in such a way that you feel like you're prepared. But just imagine if you are really prepared, what the community and what the world needs. We already see the political situation in the world, and we already understand why when you put people in a position. That's a whole different subject, but during my time that I was in some of the back areas in Morocco, and I met a lot of nice imams, we are more prepared to share this religion in a way the world needs to see it. The science of this religion. The fact that this religion has been the source of growth and industrialization for this world can best be seen through the language of Imam W.D. Muhammad. And our understanding of those relationships that the prophetic figures had and in association with science, and the Imam talked about it in terms of Jesus and other prophetic figures that we know of in our Quran that are clearly identified as bringers of science. Many of them don't understand that. They don't see the application of that. They don't see the need for it.